Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie. Here. Director Rundy is excused. Director Hayes is excused. Director Roth.
Here.
Director Moore.
Here.
Director Gray.
Here.
And President Bradley.
Here, we have a quorum. I'll call a meeting order.
From the President, preliminary approval for letting number 8601, installation of new 25 MGD raw water and 15 MGD finished water pumping units at Chain of Rocks Water Treatment Plant. Addendum number 1 for letting number 8600, install 20-inch linear in Sublet, Maine, from Arsenal Street to Potomac. Addendum number 1 for letting number 8603, replacement of existing water line from Concourse C to D and rehabilitation of Gate C10 trench drain at Lambert St. Louis International Airport. Supplemental agreement number 5 to PSA number 1122, traffic engineering assistance. PSA number 1180, partial condition assessment of the water distribution system valves, LPZ. Recommends approval. Recommendation that the board declares as emergency action, emergency work for trademark building demolition, Lambert St. Louis International Airport. From the President and Director of the Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, joint recommendation that permit for St. Louis drones for a permit to fly drone with video shoot between February 24, 2016 and March 3, 2016 in Forest Park by the St. Louis Art Museum. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Public Utilities and Streets, joint recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. XO Communications to do directional drilling or trenching starting at 319 North 4th. Place 1 2-inch HDPE duct from existing manhole approximately 64 feet east to proposed building entry at 300 North 4th Street. Total footage is 64 feet. AT&T Missouri start at 4270 Manchester in the street. AT&T will place a new copper and fiber optic cable from handhole 1121 feet. Then bore under sidewalk along west side of Tower Grove to alley, then west down alley, then bore across alley to rear up 4321 Manchester. AT&T Missouri start from handhole at 7100 South Morgan Ford, bore to rise pole at 4155 South Blow. From handhole at 7100, bore to rise pole at 7105 Whaley. Southwestern Bell Telephone Company, doing business as AT&T, start at side of 2350 Shuttle at AT&T manhole located at South Jefferson. Bore and place one fiber cable across South Jefferson to a power pole at the front of 2600 LaSalle, rising up the pole going area. From the Director of Public Utilities and Public Safety, joint recommendation that permit for Union and 70 LLC to consolidate land at 4540 Union in City Block 5090. Recommends approval subject to certain conditions. From the Director of Streets, recommendation that the following permits be approved subject to certain conditions. Clementine's on the Square LLC to encroach with Sidewalk Cafe, 3 tables and 12 chairs with liquor at 1637 South 18th Street. And Isotis LLC to move existing interior fence over 6 feet 8 inches to match property line of building at 392 North Euclid. From the Director of Public Safety, recommendation that one festival zone be approved subject to certain conditions as follows. Sabetted, June 18, 2016 at Bishop Scott between St. Louis Avenue and Kennerly, and Maffitt between Van Vender and Sarah. Now we have the conditional uses.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, members of the board. My name is Dylan Mosier, zoning plan examiner for the City of St. Louis, representing the building commissioner. Per board order number 766, transmitted here with the recommendations for the following conditional use agenda applications. Approval with conditions is recommended for 6 applications. 3223 North Taylor, 5380 Geraldine, 4512 West Pine, 7830 through 32 Ivory, 3800 through 46 South Grand, 2700 through 08 North Florissant. I recommend that these recommendations be approved as submitted.
Okay. On 2700 through 08 North Florissant, the Family Dollar, there is a letter of opposition from Alderwoman Hubbard in the packet. Is there any specifics on what exactly she's opposed to? I just simply read that she noted it would be a detriment to the neighborhood, but does not go into any great detail.
If you would, I'll pull it up really fast. I have the packet right in front of me, but That's correct. There's no specifics as far as anything particular that she specifically lists as a reason for being in opposition.
Can you read it? Is it just a short letter?
Oh, I apologize. Sure. I do not support, Dear Mary Hartburton, zoning administrator. I do not support the application for a commercial retail building for Family Dollar at the above location. This project will not be a positive impact to the community. If you have any questions or comments, please call me. Your understanding in this matter will be appreciated. Sincerely, Tamika Hubbard, Alderwoman, 5th Ward.
Thank you.
Okay. And there are petitions in here, summary petition, address of all the people who support, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I can give you the stats on that if you'd like. My understanding is it's 307 signatures in support. There were 8 letters submitted in support, and at the hearing, 7 individuals spoke in support. More would have likely, had we.
Okay. Any other questions on that particular conditional use?
Was there any other opposition to the opening of the store besides the Alderwoman?
Yes, there was one individual. His name was Peter Swatalici. He spoke in opposition at the hearing, and I don't have the name of the individual, but one letter was submitted in opposition. These were 2 gentlemen that live in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Okay. Any further questions on that conditional use? On 3800 through 4600 South Grand is also a petition to construct a Family Dollar store. Alderman Cohen did not comment actually on the conditional use, but he did send a letter, which is placed in front of you. And I did have a conversation with Alderman Cohen about this as well. And basically, his conversations concerning this conditional use is that he's been working closely with the developer and really has not a lot of issue with any of it, other than the fact that he would ask that we consider adding these conditions to the conditional use. And he has 13 of them. I believe some of them are redundant upon what is already listed. But he has asked if we would consider adding these conditions to this permit. And he said if we did that, he would be in support of it. So, any additional questions on the conditional uses?
I have a question for the zoning representative. On the South Grand Family Dollar, so refresh my memory, what are the proposed, in your guys' recommendation, conditions for signage? Are they different from what the alderman has proposed?
I didn't get a chance to see what the alderman
Okay, I wasn't
proposed. He
sure.
tried to
Okay.
submit to us, and after the hearing, and it was my understanding that he should submit directly to you guys, since we can't
Gotcha.
take any more testimony or anything of that nature. Our condition as far as signage is concerned, are you asking what
Yeah,
what
because I know
conditions?
he has some more restrictive language than I think you guys typically put on there, so I just wanted to see what you had already recommended.
Our one condition regarding signage reads, it's number 6, the applicant must apply for and receive a permit from the City of St. Louis Building Division before posting signage, and the signage must be approved by the Office of the Zoning Administrator before being installed.
So I just have one comment then about one of his proposed conditions. On number 9, some of the language at the end about no promotional signs for beverages, alcohol, liquor, tobacco products, that's a little worrisome for me just because it kind of gets into regulating the content of his signs, which can be a First Amendment issue that I think we want to try to avoid getting into. So that goes a little bit too far. So if we have the option now to address that, then I would recommend not adding that language to the condition.
Okay, and that's number 9.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on the other conditions that he proposes?
I tried to skim through it real quick. I
have
know-
one.
Yeah, Director Roth has one.
This, not item 3, the developer owner, I mean, this idea of delegating written permission on design standards to a business association and alderman, I don't know, whether we should add, I mean, I'm interested in their point of view, and I think that they are important stakeholders, but do we delegate and give veto power, formally in our conditions to to an individual alderman or a not-for-profit, business association? That just seems, I think that everybody should be in the same forum when they're talking about design and otherwise in seeking, we start parceling these things out and empowering groups within wards to make these decisions. I think you'd have kind of a crazy quilt of
Are you referring to condition 3?
3, yeah.
And so what the conversation there is, just for everyone's commentary, clarification is, if you drive down Grand, there are a number of stores that are in place, and what the idea of the neighborhood is that they would do a store that somewhat fits into the motif of the neighborhood, so that if by some miraculous chance this thing would go out of business in a year or two, as many of those restaurants have along there, you don't have these things sticking out that don't look like they belong in the neighborhood, that another business could move into there and it would fit into the neighborhood, as opposed to a Taco Bell and I use that as an example, or a Burger King or something like that type of a facility.
I clearly get why the Dutchtown Business Association and the aldermen would want to have a voice in design and construction and to ensure a new structure contributes to the historic nature. The issue I have is, by giving veto power, basically they would function as the Planning and Urban Development and Historic Review and the Zoning Commission, and I don't know what, if we set that precedent as a Board of Public Service, does that mean that we would delegate an extra layer and require everybody, who is trying to get something done to get the permission of the business association? Absolutely, as a condition to moving forward. I just think that becomes problematic. Let me ask legal counsel this. Can we kick this over 1 week and can your office reopen this and, try to synthesize what the alderman is looking for with what makes sense for a citywide zoning scheme, as opposed to us,
I think we can definitely delay. We don't have to make a decision today. As far as zoning's involvement, I know they have a set procedure where they have to give, so it wouldn't be as quickly as a week if we're if your motion is going to be that zoning has another hearing, or that they reconsider something?
What do they need to have in order to consider these and incorporate the ones that they think make sense?
I mean, I thought it might be a question for him, but I think they wouldn't have to necessarily have a hearing just to, well, I guess this isn't part of the record, though. So if we're putting it back on zoning, then I think they would have to open the hearing again.
I mean,
But you guys have the, you do
well,
have.
how about this? How about if we asked for zoning's recommendations on these before we took them up as a board, you know? So it
Okay.
wouldn't,
Because I even have a question on number one, in reference to no payphone inside or outside. I don't know if that's even giving them that permission. I don't know if that's what you currently do or not. So, yeah, I think the idea that you're making, I think it is very, very, makes a lot of sense.
so I guess my motion would be that we table I guess, and I'll just try it out. I'm not making the motion right now, is that we table this particular matter and send it back to the zoning, whose office? Who do we send it back to?
It would be the zoning section, yeah. You
Send
heard
it back
that.
to the zoning section for its recommendations on the alderman's request to us. We would like to be informed on their recommendations.
And I think that's very founded, because what I construed is that the alderman was late with the deadline, and when he contacted them, he was told that it's already in process, so in order to get these things added, you have to come directly to the board. And if there's any question at all about the conditions, and it sounds like there are, then maybe the wise decision would be is to send it back to zoning, table it from the board, send it back to zoning, let them consider the proposed conditions, and re-recommend to us as a board what's correct.
Okay.
So
Okay, I have
the
a-
motion would be, I would move to approve the recommendations with the exception of item 6 for 3800-46 South Grand, and on that would recommend that it be tabled and sent down to the zoning section for its advice and recommendations to the Board of Public Service on the alderman's request for additional conditions.
Okay, we
And
have
I
a
would
motion,
second that.
And we have a second, and can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy is excused. Director Hayes is excused. Director Ross.
Aye.
Director Moore. Aye. Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, approved. I'd like to ask you to consider our meeting minutes from last Tuesday, February the 23rd. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes, corrections or additions? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to accept the minutes from last Tuesday's meeting?
Second?
Okay, moved and seconded to accept February 23rd meeting minutes. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy is excused. Director Hayes is excused. Director Ross.
Abstain.
Director Moore. Aye. Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, minutes are approved. We had a special meeting on the 25th, which we had one item on that agenda. Are there any questions or comments on that agenda? Corrections? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Motion and second to approve special meeting minutes on the 25th. Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy was excused. Director Hayes is excused. Director Ross.
Aye.
Director Moore. Abstain. Director Gray.
Abstain.
And President Bradley.
Aye, approved. Today's agenda, are there any questions on the agenda? Comments? Seeing none, I'll take a motion, please.
Motion to accept today's agenda?
Second.
Can you call the roll, please?
Director Scobie.
Aye.
Director Rundy is excused. Director Hayes is excused. Director Ross.
Aye.
Director Moore. Aye. Director Gray.
Aye.
And President Bradley.
Aye, approved. Motion for adjournment, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, meeting adjourned.